Welcome to the 2350 Effect.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 2350 Effect. I am your co-host, Damian Kinsey. We have another discussion, another week, joining us from Sunday. Happy Sunday, Monday, wherever you're at. Good morning and evening. My amazing co-host, as always, introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Tanya Farron. Happy to be here with you on another Sunday to kick off your week and get you started. So thanks for being here.
All right. And as always, we try to have these discussions and bring up great guests and bring people in our community. That's what the 2350 Effect. Our guest tonight at the 2350 Effect has over 10 years of content strategy, holds a bachelor's degree in journalism from the University of Oklahoma, is a founder of Clover Partnership, is an editor-in-chief, um, editorial strategist, community builder, social media, brand, video, radio strategist, a member of Colorado Restaurant Association, vice president of PTA, proponent of self-care, wellness, work-life balance, a mom, a wife, a traveler. Please welcome Brandi Koskie to the 2350 Effect. Welcome to the 2350 Effect. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, good evening. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming here.
Yeah, happy to be here.
Yeah,
and we got some people in the some friends. Thank you, Jackie, for joining us. Finishing your room on re-entry and showing up. Lisa, thank you for joining us. Those people on LinkedIn, if I can't see your comments, please just keep putting them in and we'll read your comments. And thank you everyone for joining. As always, we always start our show with the effect with all right. So, Brandi, we always kick off the show with a laugh, a call, or a text. What is that laugh, call, or text that you got this week that kind of made you want to either laugh, call, or text someone?
So I'm going to start with a bit. So my mom's been in the hospital for a couple of weeks, and so my laugh for the week was she had a stroke, and so we're kind of rebuilding some speech skills. And so we were doing flashcards yesterday, like the most simple thing in the world. And I showed her, she couldn't come up with a word for most of them, but I showed her a lion and she just goes roar. And it was like that, like just this moment of levity in a couple of really hard weeks. And I was like, oh my God, like it was a really nice, just very simple, but probably like my favorite moment in the last few days.
That is really sweet. That's very cool. Very cool. Yeah.
If you've raised toddlers yourself, my daughter is now 14. It's very reminiscent of, it's a very weird dynamic, but yeah, that little moment just, yeah, it was nice.
Probably like pre-K and kindergarten because they learn like animals and sounds.
Yeah, definitely.
Dr. Farron, how about you? What's your laugh, call, or text?
Well, last week, if you didn't watch the show, catch it. My two daughters were on the show last week. And tomorrow is my oldest daughter's 27th birthday. And so I have been texting her some milestones these last couple of days about my anticipation of her when I was pregnant with her. And I think it has really just brought some joy to her life. She's, been very busy this last week, started coaching this week and started a new job about 2 months ago. So she's really under the gun, and so she's been working really hard. And so I wanted to bring some joy and love to her. So I sent her some things as today, like I was on the way to the hospital today. And she goes, wow, this sounds like a really long event. I'm like, yes, it was a long event 27 years ago.
For sure. That's awesome.
I know how much you loved her. Yeah. How about you, Damian? Your laugh, call, or text?
Well, my live caller text today, I'll use today just a while ago. Check on a friend Jackie, in her reentry room. A lot going on, and just reaching out to her and seeing if she's okay. She does a great job of checking in and checking in on me. So my text message is, checking in on a friend of mine, and always checking on your friends is my live caller text this week.
You're
We
always
get busy and we sometimes don't forget to just check in on the people around us.
right. Absolutely. You're good at that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You as
Yeah.
well. We start our meetings off with a conversation. We always talk about life, joke around, and then it's all of a sudden we get into business.
Then we're like, let's get to business. But yeah.
Speaking of business, Brandi,
Yeah.
you went to school for journalism and decided that you, at some point in your life, wanted to be a brand strategist. Like, for those people who don't know Brandi, like, who is Brandi? Like, we always get that question. Who's Damien? Who's Dr. Tanya Farron?
Right.
Who's Brandi?
Brandi has a toxic relationship with saying yes to everything because she's got this weird FOMO thing where I love to have my hands in everything. And it's not like that FOMO where I'm jealous of what other people are doing. I'm like jealous of myself to like miss out on an opportunity. So yeah, I usually take on way too much. But it's all stuff that I love and with people I love and it usually ends up making me happy. Um, but yeah, I got my degrees in journalism. I studied advertising at the University of Oklahoma. Um, I had originally planned on studying marketing, and then I saw the sheer amount of like stats and econ and math classes and said, that's not my journey. Uh, I told my advisor I'm going to need something with a lot less math. And that's where I ended up in the journalism school. So, um, yeah, so I've been working in, I mean, yeah, this year was 20 years since I graduated college. So I've been doing this for 2 decades, I guess, which sounds like a terribly long time.
No, you have to celebrate 20 years of not being in school, because when you're in
For real.
school, you think it's going to last forever. You're like, oh, please let this go.
I
But
remember at graduation that my two best friends actually like physically nudged me to walk across the stage because I was like, no, I'm not ready for whatever's on the other side of those stairs. I'm just gonna stay right here.
You could have just ended up like me. I ended up going to school for 12 years after I was in college because it took me that long with having a family. I don't know if anybody else out there in the audience, I had a family, a career. I went back to get my master's, and then my cohort group was like, well, you may as well just keep on going with the specialist, and then you may as well just keep on going with us. And so, yeah, 12 years. I really thought I was never getting out. And honestly, I know we're we're talking about you, but honestly, when I was finally done with school, Brandi, my husband said, "You are so antsy. You have got to figure it out." Like, God, like, I don't know what to do. I don't have any homework. Like,
Don't know yet.
don't know
What do I
to
do?
There's no next project, no next class, no next book to get. And he said, "You're gonna have to figure this out."
Yeah, for sure.
Or they did.
Yeah,
So then
like,
I threw
you're
myself
gonna
into
need a hobby.
exactly. So I love that. I love that you said that FOMO about, I'm sorry, Damien. I love that you said FOMO as far as like fear of missing out on your own opportunities. I love that. That makes
Yeah,
perfect sense. Yes.
yeah, I'm happy for all of you. Like, I'm not sitting back, feeling sad that I'm not doing whatever you're doing, but it kills me to miss out on something that, a client or a trip or, a restaurant or a concert, whatever. Like, I want to do all the things. I want to like pack all of it in and not miss anything. But there's only so
so what
much
do you,
time and so much money and so much energy.
so did you always wanted to get into branding and marketing and media?
No, from I think like in kindergarten, I declared that I was going to be an attorney. And that is all I ever talked about. I did mock trial in school, and I like very much focused on that path. I chose OU because I would figured it would be like a really natural transition to their law school. Um, and then I got there, and the reality of like what was involved with becoming a lawyer just didn't quite fit. And I had had a lot of friends in high school, say something about like, "Oh, you're so creative. Like, have you ever thought about going into advertising?" And I've always been a writer, and so a lot of things just kind of clicked, and I kind of accidentally found it. But yeah, the path was to be a lawyer, and um, I'm kind of glad that's not where I went. I don't think it would suit me as well.
Okay. No lawyer for you. All right. That's not the fear of missing out for you. Like, just keep
No, 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 no. That's for everybody else.
got it.
But I feel like, I love that you shared that because I feel like that's a great message for parents that are out there, other people that are out there to think that, sometimes we think we want to do something and it's okay to change to something else. And even down the road, 20 years into something, it's okay to change what you want to do or what you thought you wanted to do. That's okay.
Yeah, every time I get a chance to talk with college students, I I always talk to them about how my entire career is just this series of left turns. Um, I was going to be a copywriter, like advertising copywriter. That was my whole big plan. But those jobs were really impossible to get right out of school, and so I took an account manager job, just managing clients for an ad agency. And through that, I did a lot of like copywriting and creative work. Um, but then I left there and I went to like a corporate marketing job. And then I went to, digital was really starting to emerge, like the very, very earliest days of SEO and content publishing, content strategy. And a friend from college was starting a startup and invited me to join. And so I did that for almost 10 years. Um, and then, just a left turn from there and a left turn from there. And it's all just been these, you know, I always say like right time, right place. I've always gotten like very fortunate. My husband is an amazing cheerleader and is always quick to remind me that I'm in the right time in the right place because, the work I've done and the relationships I've built. And so I have to like remind myself that I'm very intentionally at each of these, crossroads and opportunities. But yeah, I tell everybody like you may have this path in mind and this trajectory that you've, planned for, but you have to be open to these surprise left turns that come up because I genuinely can't imagine what my career would look like if I had just stayed the course.
Right.
Um, this version is way more exciting, very fulfilling.
I love that.
I do too.
Thank you. We got some friends who showed up. Hi, Lauren. Hi, Kinga. Hey, Gabe. Simone, welcome. And as always, our resident LinkedIn user, Carrie, who loves to bring the jokes. Great to see you, Carrie, and showing up and coming here. Dr. Farron, you want to take the next question?
I do, but I'm not going to go off of the questions. So sorry, Brandi. I kind of roll like that. What's
No, I
like
like
your,
it.
tell me like, what's your, like I want to know two things. I want to know what project you're working on now and what has been like the coolest job or project you've had.
Okay. The coolest, man, I don't know. Uh, there's been a few. When I was working in the startup with my good friend from college, we ran this kind of diet wellness weight loss site, and like I said, for like almost 10 years, and we through that had developed this incredible relationship with NBC Biggest Loser, and so for I think like 8 or 9 seasons, I interviewed the um, eliminated contestant every week, and then every year we hired somebody from the previous season to do like our weekly recap content. And I went out to LA and I went to the live finales every season, and it was just a lot of fun. And doing that, I got to meet so many people. Like I went out and had sushi with Jillian Michaels, and I went and had dinner one night at Mark Cherry's house, who was like the writer and developer of Desperate Housewives, and like stood in line to get into the show one night with Kaylee Cuoco while Big Bang Theory was a big thing. And I like happened to go inside during tech check for train while they were like warming up for for the show that night. And one of the seasons I was about 6 months pregnant with my daughter, and you're in there for like 6 hours for the, for the taping, and I was starving, and one of the old contestants who I had become friends with, like, snuck me backstage and took me to craft service and fed me, and um, it was just cool. Like, it
That
was
is
just such a
cool.
fun time. It was really fun. And honestly has no bearing at all on the work I do today, but it was just a lot of fun. Lots of behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah,
Uh,
that is cool.
and then project I'm working on now. So, the last several years, probably 5, 6 years, I mean, a lot of my my career has been in healthcare in one way or another. Another one of those like happy accidents I never really planned for, but I work with a really large medical education company. So they develop the educational programs that physicians use to earn their continuing credits. So I'm working with them to do, strategy for, promoting their programs, reaching, physicians. There's like this really, I don't know, satisfying part of the work that knowing that, if we can get it into the right physician, in front of the right physician, and, they watch this 30-minute educational program, then, the next patient they see could benefit from the information that they've just learned. So it's really motivating to, you know, kind of crush it for this client and, think, in a way that's, attractive to these physicians and, making sure, you've got millennial physicians and they're used to
Sure.
the internet and, being, the flood of information on, social and online. And then you've got 60-year-old physicians who, very much still need to earn their credits. And, so trying to satisfy these like very different, audience personas, and, but ultimately making sure that this information gets into the hands of our healthcare providers.
So is it hard copy or is it like websites that you're building or is it online courses? Like what exactly is your role?
So
What are you?
there's a whole team that they develop the program, like the educational program. Nobody wants me writing medical education, but it's my responsibility to get it in front of the right audience. So one of the programs we're working on right now is we do these live streams a couple times a week using the exact same platform we're using right here tonight, actually. And so for 15 or 30 minutes, we'll have 2 or 3 kind of leading physicians in, say, continuous glucose monitoring. And so it's these 3 diabetologists who come on and talk about the value and the benefit to, patient care and how much easier it is for the patient to manage their diabetes, how much easier it is for the physician to track and monitor, all of their numbers and their stats and then get in front of issues that might arise. And it's all targeted toward primary care physicians who tend to be kind of reluctant to move their patients on to these devices. And it's a series, like this is a series, so we do it once a month. We're doing it tomorrow at noon, actually. And so the effort is just to make sure we're bringing the right healthcare providers to those live programs and get a chance to chat and talk and ask questions and learn all the latest, data and research.
Very cool. Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you learn something new every day and learn more about people. And I was
Mm-hmm.
happy when me and Brandi met. We had a conversation. We were talking. I loved your energy. I love that you're really about helping and supporting people and wanting people to grow and do well, building community. I just thought of something. Banter strategy. Tell me more about that.
That I really struggled to come up with. Like, it's when I love branding work. Like, I love somebody to come to me and say, "We've got this product, and it's so much fun to name them and put the whole concept together." Until you have to do it for yourself, it's awful. It's like having to work on your own resume or something. It's just or write your own bio. Like, nothing worse. I Every name I came up with just like wasn't available with like websites or social channels, or it wasn't quite a fit. And then um, I saw the word banter written on a sign like late one night, and I was like, that actually, because I talk a lot, I'm very chatty, and all the work I'm doing is, in the, very, adjacent to banter. Like it's all, promo and advertising. And so everything the URL was available, the social was available, and it had like I don't know, it had like a good energy. And so yeah, that's the not so sexy story of how I landed on banter strategy.
Real quick, do you prefer to do ads or promos or both?
So it's all encompassing, right? So like marketing is the broad umbrella, and then under that, maybe we're doing ads, maybe we're doing a promo campaign, maybe we're doing an email effort, maybe we're scrapping your website and building a better asset where people can actually find you on the internet, and those promos are what are driving people in. So I really like that whole kind of 180, multifaceted. Like I don't just do this thing or just do this thing. um, and I'm very fortunate to work with a bench of really talented people. So I mean, I couldn't develop a website to save my life, but I know but I know what's involved and what's required. And so, I partner with the right people to bring that to life. Or, I work with really great designers. So I kind of describe banter as kind of like, there's in Amsterdam, there's like the tiniest house in the city, and I can't remember, but I want to say the front door is like 5 feet wide, maybe. It's really, really narrow, and it had something to do with like hundreds of years ago, the way they assessed tax was based on the width of your house. But when you go into this house, it's a full-size house, but from the street, it's just this door. And so I've kind of described banter in that way. It's like what you see up front is just me, but once you come in, there's full service access to some excellent talent throughout the country. And I can, pull people into the project, to help serve the client and, ultimately deliver the best product we can.
That is a really great way to explain that, because, there's probably a lot of people in our audience who have small businesses, they're entrepreneurs, they may work for large corporations, but if you've never really branded a business or started a business or opened it or thought about it, there's a lot of components to it. And I think that's important, for you, like you said, you open the door, you get somebody in, and when you start talking to them or you start analyzing what they already have, and sometimes it's probably hard, right? If they built something themselves, this is their baby, right? And so how do you go in and say, well, we need to go in and we need to look at your color scheme, and we need to go in and we need to redo your website. We need to, make some changes. This doesn't match this, even down to fonts and all matching pieces and all of that. So talk us through that. So, we do have a lot of entrepreneurs in the audience and people who are maybe thinking of starting a business. So what are some of the things that they should be starting to consider or think about?
Yeah. Yeah, to your statement a second ago about how, these are people's babies, they are. And the really hard part is sometimes you have to tell people their baby is ugly. um, Sometimes you have to break it to them and be like, this is not quite where you think it is, or it's not as nice as you think it is. I actually had a client for a few years that they had not updated their brand or touched anything having to do with their brand or how they look in 50 years. And it absolutely showed. I mean, it was just old and dusty and antiquated. And honestly, it's like one of the projects that I've loved the most over the years is we got to go in and just kind of like scrap this thing to ground and start over. And the result it's probably one of the projects I'm most proud of. Like the work is exceptional. And it touched every aspect of this company. Part of it was they had two like adjacent but not necessarily like completely compatible businesses operating under like the same name and same branding, and so we got to decouple those and let them run as like two very independent, unique entities. The thing I think people need to consider first and foremost, and it's always the hard part of the conversation, but it's your budget. Like you have to be willing to spend some money. in marketing and branding, you absolutely get what you pay for. If you try to go cheap, you're going to get cheap results. People are always so gun shy to invest, but it really is one of the places that you should make the investment. It's worth it. Don't cheap out on your website. Don't cheap out on your branding. If you're going to do social, actually do social. You can't half-ass it with sorry, I don't know if we're allowed to. But yeah, you need to be, and truly find a partner, because if you love to make ice cream and you're starting a little mom and pop ice cream shop, making small batch cookies and cream, that really well, so focus on that and do that. Bring somebody in who knows what they're doing when it comes to the branding and the SEO, so people can find you, and the PR, the promo, or whatever it is that's going to get people in the door. Find a partner, trust them, and let them do their job to help you do your job.
I love that. That's great advice. It really is. My first venture, with graphic designer was hard. They asked me a lot of questions because they really wanted to know who I was. They wanted to know, what did I like? What fonts did I like? And I was like, I don't know. And this is how I explained it. I remember I'm kind of a swirly girly kind of a thing. I like things and they were like, okay. I didn't know what else to say, right? I like that cursive writing, that cursive lettering. And so it's interesting, when you really, sometimes you kind of you can see what you like, but you don't know how to describe what you like to tell somebody else. And you probably find that in your business, to where you may create something for somebody and they're like, no, that's not exactly what I was thinking, but they couldn't really formulate the words to put it together. So it's interesting. One of the things that I try to do every year is I have somebody go in and I give them my website, and maybe you have advice for people, and this is the reason I'm asking that. I tell somebody to go in and just review it. Tell me what you think. Give me some hardcore feedback. What do you think about it? Because I want to make sure that it's readable. In fact, I just did this to Damien the other day. I'm like, I made some updates. Please go through it and send me feedback. I want to hear what you have to say, and I want honest truth. And sometimes, like you said before, if the baby's ugly, I don't know what to say, but we got to change it. And so you have to have thick skin to be able to accept people's feedback also.
You do. You can't be defensive. They're called audits. So, we can do a brand audit, we can do a website audit, we can do a social audit. And we go in and we just really take stock of absolutely everything, and then come back. And, this is where I'm in the middle of, pitching a new client right now. And I can go into their analytics and see that they actually had really great traffic for a really long time. And then in January, February of 2020, it absolutely cliff dives and it's never recovered. And I said, so what happened in January of 2021? And he's like, well, that's when we relaunched our website. I was like, oh, well, your stuff didn't migrate and Google hasn't known your website exists for about 3 years. But they'd never looked into it. They didn't know. They knew they had a traffic problem, but they didn't know why or what the source was. So actually right now, this time of year is when I reach out to people and remind people, this is when you should do your audit, because this gives us enough time to, make technical changes on the back end of the website, determine maybe what you need from a content strategy going into the new year, or what you may need for social. And, everybody's working on those 2025 budgets. So figure out what, do that audit, get the results, figure out what you're going to need in the new year, and start, allocating money for that. There's a lot of work that you can do between now and the end of the year, so that when January 1st hits, you've got, your website's ready to rock and roll with whatever new goals you have for your business in the new year. But yeah, this is prime audit season, honestly. Find out, where links are broken, which images don't work. A lot of times we go in and I can immediately see that your website is not compatible on mobile at all, which is a huge issue. 50-60% of your users are probably trying to access your website from their phone. So yeah, have those audits done. And I mean, you'll unearth. It's I love doing the audits because it's like the dirty. It's like if you ever had to go in and like clean out your garage or your grandma's attic or something, and there's just like all this stuff in there. It's really fun to like pull it out, sort it out, see what you've got, see what's missing, and start making, really, really intentional, really thoughtful changes.
Yeah, I like that. They call it the sock drawer. Are you cleaning out your sock drawer? And I
Mhm.
like how you said it because you already have Q1, Q2. You're in the midst of the end of Q3, and Q4 is just about cleaning up and preparing for Q1. So that is a
Yeah.
definitely good point about, talking about even accounting strategy and also like evaluation and auditing. Thank you for sharing it.
Yeah.
So, Dr. Farron, do you want to go into conversation about the housekeeping stuff? The work life
Yes.
balance summit is coming. I know Brandy's a big self care summit, work life balance person, and we're definitely gonna go into some of the things that we talked about. Brandy does for work life balance and self care right
Awesome.
after we talk about this.
All right. So our Work-Life Balance Summit is a 2-day virtual event. You can scan the QR code on this screen right here. It is October 4th and 5th. It is 2 days virtual at home in your pajamas if you want, or you can have it playing while you're at work. I don't know. And the tickets are on sale right now. It is through Zoom events. It's pretty amazing. Damien, when you get done with this slide, I can go through and show what that event looks like. I did pull it up. And so I hope you join us. We've got 27 presenters, 26 sessions, and it's going to be pretty amazing. And so come join us.
Okay, you want to bring us out up?
Yeah, I want to show you guys what it looks like after you select that QR code. Maybe this one. All right, I'm ready now. You can go ahead and throw that up there. So this is, once you select the QR code, this is where you go to purchase tickets, and it goes through and it shows you our event. So you can see all of the sessions. We get started every morning at 9 a.m. You can buy a ticket just to come and get started with us. It's $10 to just come and join us for the first 20 minutes of the day, just for kicks. And then, but I just want to make it clear, you can't purchase a ticket that day though for the rest of the event. So it's either 20 minutes in advance, or it's just how the event actually, the ticket sales work with the event. But these are our presenters starting from 9:30 and 10:30. And these are our sessions that we have. Some of these people you've probably seen on LinkedIn. They're pretty popular, amazing people on LinkedIn that we have here. They host lots of rooms. They're very engaging. And they've got a lot to offer. And this is day 2. So you can see you've got a lot to choose from. You have 2 sessions every hour on the hour for you to choose from. And it's going to be really incredible. And then we close out with Damien. And then let me show you another. This is the speaker. So you can click this and all of your speakers pop up on here. And then you can go through and you can see which events that they are in. And it will tell you, which one. So you can go through and check out all of the presenters, get information on them, a little bit of their bio, get their LinkedIn so you can connect with them on social media. And then you can also go to the events portal. You can join the lobby. Whoops, that's not what I wanted. That is our portal though. But you can join the lobby. Also, and during the day of the event, you can see the sessions that you have booked. So like these are the sessions for me. This is my personal itinerary. So it's a pretty incredible platform that we have. And then again, the speakers. But inside the lobby here, there's a chat. So you can message with everybody during this time. If you purchase a ticket, we are allowing the recordings to continue for 2 weeks. So if you want to go back and you want to watch a recording, you can go back and watch another recording. So it is really amazing. It's a great platform. You're going to love it. Grab your ticket and get started with us.
And the 2350 network is definitely live. Here's our virtual campus that we have for members of the 2350 network. That is me there in the little circles on Go Brunch. This is our virtual campus space. You can actually use that, access it 24 hours a day. It's a campus feel and vibe outside in the courtyard. I like being outside in the courtyard, going for walks with my virtual head. Here's the auditorium stadium where it holds over 40 people, where you can have a rock concert, a conversation, you can have a team meeting, whatever you want in that big old virtual space. Here's a community meeting, and there's also the barcode for the app for the 2350 network. Pool table. You can lounge as the network. You can use it in anywhere you want, have some fun, win one of those trophies and have fun in the network. Here's my virtual office space where I have meetings. Here's the old office space for myself and Dr. Farron. I have to definitely update that. And this is actually one of the times we was brainstorming session after we did Leadership and Lemonade, which was a leadership conversation on a Saturday. And we were talking, and I like to lean against the window when I'm in someone's office, not necessarily sit on the chair. So I was over there, and Dr. Farron is there. And these are some of the perks of being a member. And you can go to the 2350 website, which is live. You can go there and click on it. And can you scroll all the way down to the bottom where Dr. Farron? Scroll to the bottom.
Yep.
And you can click right there. You can click the link and join and be a member of the network. And then can you go to the member features section? You can click there, fill out an application. The application comes to myself with Dr. Farron. We check it, we get back to it, and then we have Jamie, who from Healthful Living Magazine, who does wellness and is a big proponent of ending the stigma of mental health and getting people the help and support they deserve, and the Healthful Living Magazine. And that copy of the Healthful Living Magazine is from the virtual wellness summit, where it has all the presenters in it. There's a digital copy of it. I actually have a physical copy of it, so you can get the digital or the physical copy there. And work-life balance and virtual wellness is a big proponent of myself and Dr. Farron, and Jamie is a 2350 member, so we always want to highlight a 2350 member. All right. Now, with that said, I'm not going to switch. So I know, Brandi, you were big on when you shifted from working for someone to helping your own business, and the perks of it is, self-care, a lot of travel, and work-life balance. What was that one thing that you kind of stood out to you when you made that shift from working for someone and going into working for yourself, that kind of led into that?
The autonomy to come and go as I please. I haven't worked a Friday all year. I wrote into my contract that I'm not available on Fridays. And sometimes I do. Like, nobody knows I'm there. I might, catch up on a few last things for the week. But for the most part, I, like during the summer, I've used that to, my daughter and I would go shopping and go to the pool and hang out. And it gives me a day of the week I can go meet a friend and have lunch, or, go take care of appointments, or just sleep in and catch up around the house. I probably take about 6 full weeks off a year. Like I have a rule, the Mac don't pack. So if the suitcase is open, the Mac stays home. I'm not working wherever I'm going. And, none of my clients are neglected. All of my work is done. I just, there's a lot more to this life than having to sit at my desk all day and, be accountable as like a warm body in a seat. I live in Denver. I live in the foothills just outside of Denver in Colorado. And, if it's January and we get a random day that's 75 degrees outside, I'm not sitting at my desk. I'm going on a hike. I don't miss stuff at my daughter's school. I get to volunteer a lot at the schools and in my community. And I just, going back to, like the FOMO thing at the beginning, I don't really miss out on anything. And all the boxes are checked and everything's done. And So yeah, I think just the autonomy and the flexibility and to be able to kind of like come and go and live as and work as I want to was probably one of the biggest motivations to break out and work for myself.
Well, Brandon, you're getting a lot of reactions to it. Like people talking about it as the best part. Some people have Tuesdays as the day that they're not
I
doing
love that. I
anything.
love that.
Friday, you know,
Yes.
it's
Yes.
big.
My
And you deep
calendar is blocked on Fridays, so if you invite me to something on Friday, it kicks back a no thank you before I even see the calendar invite. Use those tools to your advantage. I also do a thing where, like, if I happen to be up late working, like, say I'm working at like 1 in the morning, which doesn't happen too often, but I don't want people thinking I'm working at 1 in the morning, so I'll schedule the email to drop at like 7:05 the next morning, and then hits their inbox first thing, and I'm still in bed.
and I'm definitely glad we're doing this on a Sunday and not a Friday because I know that's your time off, and that's good. I know Dr. Fran does that too with scheduling sometimes and putting things out at times like the newsletter, and it's a real helpful tool. I know she's really big on AI and whatnot. So those are great tips that are helpful for people because when you do make I remember switching from in person to virtual, and for some reason, folks think because you're in a digital space that you have more time and they just unload and keep more stuff on your plate and you end up doing so much. So that's a good point to kind of shut some things down. And I have a real good friend who does that too. She plans certain days and times where she does
Mhm.
nothing. And then I have a friend who's just running. She's on a 13-hour schedule every day. And I'm like, you got to slow down. But it's good to
Sounds
be
exhausting.
going from like in person to remote to learning. Like learning from someone how to slow down and have a supervisor who understands how to slow down and teach you those tools. So those are really
Mhm.
big and important. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, you've got to protect your time. I mean, that's it's a rare commodity, and there's we don't have endless amounts of it. And so, yeah, I'm a big fan of anything people have to do to guard and protect their time. Um, makes us all better.
I feel like that too. And I think it's something that, I would like to say that it's something that we have to work on all the time, and sometimes you have to change it up, depending on what's happening in our life at the time, the stage and ages of your kids, when they're
Mhm.
littler, it's harder to say, I'm not doing this day because they really may be physically dependent upon you. And so finding somebody else that can help support you. So there's so many different ways that we have to adjust our lifestyle,
Mhm.
and so mine is like my kids are grown and out of the house, but I can almost find myself being a workaholic because of that. Like
Oh,
because I have time now. So I'm like, oh, I'll do it. So now I've had to set up a new boundary for myself and say, no, you're not doing that. You're going to stop that day. And I love that too. Damien does that too. He takes time for himself. And we were going to have a meeting one day and he's like, I'm not working this day. And I said, oh, well, are we another day? I was like, are we meeting? He said, I told you I'm not working this day. And I was like, right. I forgot. You said you were not working that Monday. Good for you, and I respect that,
mhm.
but, because it's easy, like you said, sometimes to be like pulled into it. Well, this could be real quick meeting, or this could be just 30 minutes,
Right,
right? No, I
right.
am not working that day.
So I work with a lot of people in Europe, and so being from I think Denver to London is 8 hours, and I'll
Sure.
get call invites at what is 6 o'clock in the morning for me, and I'm like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Like the sun's
Right.
not even up where I am.
Right.
Definitely try to be flexible where I can because we do have limited overlap during the day, but um, yeah, you have to just because my natural inclination is a workaholic. I mean,
Mm.
I love to crush a 12 or 15-hour day and I'm like really in it. And,
Yeah.
you're grinding, you're marking the things off and but oh my gosh,
You're
like
making the
I mean
list
I
after you've done it so you can mark it off. That's what I
get
do. I'm
that
like, oh,
little
I
get
did that.
that
I'm going to
little
put that on
dope
here just so I can mark
get
it
that
off.
little dopamine get that little dopamine hit. You're like, yeah. Oh, the ultimate is when you get to draw an X through the whole day because like you did
Yes.
it all Don't get very
Yes,
many of those, but man, those are a little high.
they are. They are. But it is
Yeah,
good.
like so what Dr. Farron was saying, like I have built-in days in the year that I just don't work. And that comes from earlier on in my career. And being young, you think you have all the time in the world. You think nothing affects you. You have the invincibility complex. And I remember running and running and running and working, and didn't understand what um, burnout was. I didn't understand what that was. Never get sick. You know, work-life balance. What is that?
Mhm.
And I got to the point where like it just hit me, and I was like, I was just exhausted one day, and I didn't realize, and I just like took time, and I was like exhausted, and I was like, oh, and I did the math too. I was like, you're getting older, you have to make longer term decisions, and I had that moment. I was like, okay, these are the days in the year that mean something to me personally, and I put them in. And I worked at a job where they had you had days where you could just pick like
Mhm.
professional days where you could just have off, and it didn't matter what it was. And I had a lot of vacation. I think I accrued 2 months worth of vacation, so I was blessed. And always had working in a place like that where they valued you. What was that moment or thing that you did that said, you know what, I have to make sure I incorporate work life balance. I have to make sure I incorporate wellness, or just take time for Brandy.
Yeah. Um, I started working from home in 2007, and so I've most of my career has been spent working in a remote capacity, and um, I just remember how nice it was to like get up and take a break from my desk, but like go change a load of laundry or go prep something for dinner or throw my phone on the floor on speakerphone and do yoga in my bedroom while I was on a meeting. Um, so I never really had that kind of like hard shift. I think I just like gradually, this is all I knew. And I mean, I've had job offers, really great opportunities, stuff that I would have loved to have taken. And honestly, I declined because, well, we need you in the office 5 days a week. Not happening. I'm not spending, 2 hours a day commuting in my car. Again, I'm not gonna go in just to be like a warm body in a seat. Damien, you and I talked about this a couple of weeks ago, how like you have that like nonstop, like people feel like you're just accessible because you're sitting there. Um, so yeah, for me, it was just like, this is kind of all I know. I mean, I know the other side, but personally, this is how I've worked most of my career. And I mean, the absolute unicorn of a job that would have to take for me to give it up, um, like a stint on the space station or something. Um, I just and it's honestly, it's my husband also works for himself. We both work from home. So there's like things that like we have only owned one car for the last 10 years because 90% of the time one of us doesn't need a car. And so there's from a carbon footprint standpoint, we have a huge savings. Financially, we save a lot. Um, we're always home when we pick our daughter up from school, we take her to school. We're flexible, we're available, and it's just I think it's allowed us to have a very different life, and one that we really appreciate. And I know that it's not possible for like I know it's not possible for everybody, um, but we sorry, I feel like I'm starting to ramble. I'm like trying to find my wrap up point. Yeah, I don't really know any different. Like this is just kind of how I work.
Nah, no problems at all. Because when you said that, it made me think about the cone. But we have to talk to Dr. Farron about the cone offline. It's the funniest thing ever, and it kept when you were talking, it just made me think about. I'm doing the work life balance summit with Dr. Farron. I do the virtual wellness summit, and these are all experiences that I've had because I physically know what it is to not be conscious of these things that you are running. You're going 100 miles per hour. The toll eventually gets to you. And you have to kind of take a break and a breather and a pause. And there's so many things out there around life that what my balance looks like for Damien is different from what it looks like for Tanya, what it looks like for Brandi, and finding our own balance and our own mode. Like you said, Friday's not your thing. That's the day for your kid and your time. And we have to respect that people have different motives, different means, and different outcomes.
I work with somebody who has a line in her email signature that says, basically it says something to the effect of like, if you're getting this email at 10 o'clock on a Wednesday night, that's what works for me. And that's when I'm working. Please don't have, there's no expectation that you need to reply to me at 10 o'clock at night. She obviously says it in a much more succinct way, but I really love that because I do think we all feel this pressure of like, the Slack message dings, the text comes in, the email comes in, and you could be in the middle of like a family dinner and we all feel this urgency to respond and be available right now. Taking Slack off my phone is one of the best things I ever did for myself. I'm like, I can't be available 24 hours a day and I don't need that thing like screaming at me all the time. Yeah, everybody's got to find those things that work for them and serve them but protect them. Like, don't apologize for them. Own them. These are your boundaries. This is what's required for you to be healthy and at your best and, deliver for your family, your company, your friends. But yeah, those things vary for all of us. And we all just need to be respectful and mindful of them with the other people, with each other's things. Yours
That's
may
what I
not be
was going to
convenient
say.
for me, but I'm going to honor them.
That's what I was going to say, Brandi. I think it's also, and I always go back to the parenting piece as a parent, like what works for me doesn't always work for my children, and it probably doesn't work for your daughter too, And so being mindful and respectful of what our family needs and our other people in our lives need is important, and I always like, families can kind of also bring like, that guilt just like work can, right? I feel guilty if I say no to my mom, or I feel guilty if I say no to my child, but really maybe giving an explanation. And also it's so important to give other people permission. Give them permission. Give your daughter permission to have a veg day on the couch because she's had a rough week at school. Teach her some strategies, teach her what she can do, guide her through some things, but also give her some reset time if she needs that, and I try to do that with my own daughters too. And it's really important, even just as phone calls and texts, if I know they're having a rough week, I'll just send them just like a silly GIF or something. Just say, I love you. Cause just my connection. I know you're having a rough week, but I'm thinking of you, and that sort of thing, just because I think people do feel guilty about that. And I think that's what causes them to feel the need to continue to push. And we don't do that.
Yeah. We don't want to step on anybody's toes.
Yeah.
But by being so careful of what everybody else needs, we lose what we need.
Right.
And there's a way to have space for both.
Yes.
And speaking of that, I'll say this. This is a leadership tip. I always try to tell people that I have a high motive. My 100% I'd rather me be at 100% my way, and not have you at 50% my way when your 50% is different from mine. Meaning that I always want people at their optimum, and their optimum looks different from what mine is. My motor is different from yours. Your motor is different from mine. And if I try to be 100% at Tanya's way, I might only get to 60% because she has a different motor and different style and way of things. In the same way with Brandi, just do it your way and be at your 100% your way. And it works better instead of trying to be at 100% someone else's way and you fell short and be at 30%. So that's kind of always the rule of thumb when you're trying to draw boundaries and working out stuff and figuring out what your niche is and your motor. For question, what is your favorite form of, what do you like more? Marketing, media, branding, doing promos, or do you just like all of it and still in love with the whole process?
I think I'm still in love with the whole process because I like seeing all the pieces come together. So I really like when I can get in with somebody at either the very beginning, like we're at ground and we're building this thing, or I love to come in when it's broken and it's messy and we dump all, we do the audit and we dump all those puzzle pieces out and we, figure out what we're keeping. We, Marie Kondo that thing and like we're getting rid of this and we're keeping this and we make the baby pretty again. Um, I still very much love the whole process. I really love branding though, and I really love helping people figure out, basically who they are and how are we going to tell people who you are and what does that look like. But yeah, and I love when it's with people or companies who truly love their company, their brand, their product, like whatever it is, and that really shows through and it makes it so much more fun to work on. um, you shouldn't feel like you're like going to the dentist to have your teeth pulled. Like it's an exciting process. And I really love that I get to be the one that kind of like, manage and lead that for them.
That's awesome. That is really great. I want to thank some of the people in our audience today that we didn't really get to highlight yet. But thank you, Sandra. I see that you ended up being a LinkedIn user, and Marjana and Carol and Simone. Jasmine, thank you for being here. Kinga, thank you. Dr. Rowe, thank you for stopping by today. Jackie, is me. Dr. Marcia. Nick, the GBW, Gabe, thank you all so much for being here. And those of you I know, and Lauren, I know as soon as we go into the comment section, more people will pop up. That is just the way it goes for whatever reason. But if we didn't say your name, thank you so much. Thank you, Christy, for being here. Lisa, you guys are amazing, wonderful supporters. We love having you here and we love you sharing in the comments. So thank you so much.
Yeah, Lauren, Jessica, Gabe, Plantine, Erica was also here. They're all on the LinkedIn user side. For some reason, LinkedIn and StreamYard is having a little bit of glitches, but we appreciate you showing up and being here as well. And thank you, Dr. Rowe. You got your ticket for the summit. I appreciate that and showing up. Brandi, I know you love the mess. Like you pride yourself on going into the mess and fixing it and working that out. And I think that's really key and important because a lot of times when we're trying to brand ourselves, we're working on figuring out stuff. Like sometimes we don't even know what the difference between an ad and a promo. That's why I kind of brought it up. And we feel embarrassed that our social media is one way, our website is this. We don't have this idea. We have the vision that I have. We can't bring it out. And you pride yourself on making it comfortable and creating that environment where people can, it's okay, it's a mess, but when we're done with this, it's going to be something that you can be proud of and something you think about. And I think that holds values when you supporting people when they're going through their process and their journey, because it is their baby and they want it to grow, and you being there holding their hand and supporting them is important and whatnot. So I thank you for having that approach to it and making people feel comfortable with that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
So as always, and thank you for coming. And as always, we always end the show off with now. We always like to close with a quote.
Okay.
You can choose to go first or last. It's up to you.
Oh, I'll hear yours first. I went first last time, so I'll hear yours first.
All right, so I'll go first since I always go last. My quote is the premise of the show, which is a 2350 network, which is don't let 5 minutes of the day disrupt the other 2350 of your day. A lot of times we get lost in the fact that we have 5 minutes of frustration. That person cut us off for 5 minutes in traffic. We had 10 minutes of argument. And then when someone comes to you and say how your day was, we say, hey, the day was messed up. But the reality of it is there's 23 hours and 50 minutes left, and those days are joyful. So let's live in a moment of positivity and joy. Don't let 5 minutes or 10 minutes disrupt the other 2350.
I love that. I absolutely
It's a good reminder. I need that reminder.
It is. It is a good reminder. It is a great reminder. I just want to thank Carrie for his jokes. He hopes that everyone has a great and cheesy night. Love his jokes. Thanks for making me smile every day, Carrie. My quote today, I wanted to dig into something entrepreneurial and business wise, since we were really focusing on that aspect of life. Never start a business to just make money. Start a business to make a difference. And I love that. That's important, I think, making a difference with what you're doing.
Absolutely. Mine is a quote from Tina Fey that I really love. And it kind of goes back to what I was talking at the beginning about, just like a series of left turns and being open to, what may. It's say yes and you'll figure it out afterward. So just say yes to whatever comes up. And yeah, that's my
I
quote.
love that. That's incredible.
All right. So last but not least, Brandi, where can they find you, connect with you, and get with you?
Yeah. Banterstrategy.com. That's my website that I am my own worst client. Don't look at it. But you can contact me through the website. And I'm also on LinkedIn at Brandi Koskie, if you'd like to reach out to me there.
Nice. And we'll put it in the comments so you can connect with her on our website. Thank you so much for that. All right.
Thank you for having me. This was a lot of fun. And I hope, a few people wake up tomorrow morning and, look into an audit on their to-do list.
I think there's going to be a lot of audits this week
Yeah.
on their websites. I love it.
Yes. All right. So thank you everyone for showing up. As always, we're here Sunday nights, 8:00 Eastern Standard Time for the 2350 Effect on the 2350 Network. Thank you, Brandi. Thank you, Dr. Farron, and everyone. Have a good night and start to your rest of your week. Goodbye.
Good night.
Thank you for attending the 2350 Effect. If you are interested in becoming a guest or a sponsor, please contact Damien or Dr. Tanya. Join us every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the 2350 Effect.